one. Fact or fiction number 4. Does time-restricted eating work to help us reduce our weight? Okay, so that means if we decrease the amount of time you have in a day to eat, does that help you to lose fat and weight? I'll give you an example. So most people have about a 10-hour window where they don't eat. So they're sleeping, they wake up, they immediately start eating, they eat for 14 hours straight, and then they go to bed. Okay, that is the typical American. Time-restricted eating would say, okay, let's crunch down that eating window to maybe 12 hours in a day. So if you ate your first meal at 6 at night would be your last time you would eat. Or is it, some people will say 10 hours, some people will say even 6 hours. So some people will eat only 1 meal a day. So that is that whole time-restricted fasting scenario. So it's increasing the amount of time that your body is fasting, because we all fast. You all are going to fast today. You'll be fasting tonight while you're sleeping. You know, and we wake up to break your fast, right, with breakfast. So does that work? If you scrunch it down, if you have a 10-hour eating window versus a 14-hour window, does that work to help reduce weight and fat in many of the studies that have been conducted? Please circle your answer. Everybody got their answer down? Okay, we gotta wait for this part to switch. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. Okay, so pressing the wrong button. So that is a fact. The majority of studies suggest that within reason, this practice is healthy to do and very effective. Tips to limiting your eating window, typically 10, 12, or 8 are the crunch downs that people do. I typically try to do a 6-hour window myself. I usually eat my lunch as my biggest meal, and then I usually have a little snack in the middle of the afternoon, and then dinner at like 6. You know, so I have a 6-hour if lunch is at noon. So lunch is kind of like my breakfast. I got into a lot of trouble with this one, talking to a client about it, because he called me like an idiot. He's like, you just told me like 2 weeks ago that I should be eating my largest meal as breakfast, and now you're telling me not to eat breakfast. You know, so just remember that these two different concepts of restricting your time frame of eating and eating your biggest meal first are not mutually exclusive. You can do them both together. And so I tried to explain that to him, but he was already mad at me. So he still works with me though. So, but you can do them both. It would just, the way you would combine these two strategies together would be lunch would be your biggest meal, and then dinner would be your smaller meal. And I personally think that this makes total sense. I don't think that Cro-Magnon man and woman were waking up first thing and be like, hey, let's have a big breakfast and like chill out for a little while, you know, and then a couple hours, let's have some snacks now, and then a couple hours later, let's have lunch, and then a couple hours later, let's have dinner. That is a very unusual eating pattern for human beings, in my opinion. I think probably for the majority of history, people are getting up, not eating anything, working their tushes off, gathering stuff and killing animals and doing all that other stuff. Maybe they had a big meal for dinner, maybe not. Maybe they starved for a couple days. You know, I think that is a much more normal eating pattern for human beings. But we can replicate that in the modern world just by shrinking down that window a little bit. Any thoughts on that?
If you look at farmers from the past, they all got up early in the morning, started their chores, and then came in for a little bit later breakfast, and that was a big meal. A big meal,
yeah. Yeah, oh, it's interesting. I don't know, is anyone doing this? Is anyone doing time-restricted eating? You are? Okay. It's really easy to do. The one thing I like about this is it's not talking about changing what you're eating. Changing what you're eating is harder for people than just simply saying cut one meal out. You know, so super easy strategy. If you leave with nothing else tonight, try cutting out breakfast for a week, see if you lose some weight, you know?
Well, you can still have a banana or something in the morning, can't you?
Yeah, just do a little bit. They usually say you can have 50 calories or less and not break your fast. Some of the fasting people say. So if you have a little coffee with a teeny bit of cream in it or something, it's not going to break you out of a fasted state. But the fasted state of the human body is a very, very interesting thing. So the 4 different things that they've studied to increase longevity: exercise, right? Fasting, use of heat, and use of cold. All those have been studied extensively, and all of them appear to extend lifespan. So fasting is an interesting one. You know, and most of the guys who write books on longevity, you know, this guy, one of my favorite guys, Walter Longo, He does all the mice studies where he has the mice eat a lot less calories and extends their lifespan significantly. They all typically do some type of strategy revolving around fasting of some sort. Okay, where are we at? How are we doing? We're 6:35. We've gotten through 4 of them. We're perfectly on pace, guys. We're perfectly on pace.